Nothing even happened with my phone.
You got a text.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, we are live. I'm going to tweet out the link.
Yeah, no.
Do this. I probably shouldn't have cussed at that guy.
Yeah, probably not.
That's okay. He liked it, so we're okay. All right, let me tweet out this link.
Everyone's got AIDS.
This is live.
Yeah. It's a song from Broadway. Deal with me. It's.
All righty. Okay, that is sent out, and here we go. Whenever you are ready, let's do this, man.
Here we go. Episode 19. I'm off my bye week. I'm off my suspension.
We missed out on Chuck last week, but we kind of move on, and we do what we can do.
Man, I hung out with Marshawn all week. It was awesome.
You took an honorary suspension with the greatest Marshawn Lynch.
Can I just tell you, did you hear what he did this week? Greatest story ever.
Go ahead, man. Let's hear this biz.
He only practiced with the high school team and was straight up trucking 15 and 16-year-olds as hard as possible and just scoring touchdown after touchdown.
Man, I'll tell you this. I have asked my question many a time. I wonder what it would be like to go back and play high school football now. Like, I feel like I would be decent. I was all right back in the day, but I'd be amazing. Well, turns out Marshawn Lynch got to live that dream. I have no idea how everybody signed waivers for that, but I'm so thankful that took place.
He basically played Madden on rookie, and
yeah,
and he just leveled children, which that's awesome. But let me just say, loving this fantasy year, so pumped up for what's to come. It's been so much drama and so much uneven ground that nobody kind of knows where to be. So it's just been good.
And it just got more crazy.
Woo!
Just literally seconds before we hit record, the Ezekiel Elliott suspension has finally been upheld, and he is out for the next 6 games. And this is great on so many levels because the NFLPA came out right before it was released. I'm sure they knew the result, that no matter what happened, they would not be appealing this. So it seems like it has run its course. I know we've said that before, but hopefully it's done and we just get this behind us and we move on. Oh, so tired of talking about this stuff.
Yeah, me too. It's definitely that was that Tim Tebow effect. You're just like, I'm done with it. I'm done with you. I'm done with it.
And so when does he come back, right? So he's suspended now. When's he come back, Chuck?
Week 15 against the Raiders.
So here's what you do with Zeke. If you have Zeke, you probably have a solid fantasy team. But what I would do, I would trade now. Figure out that first, second, third place team. Unless you're one of those, there is no reason to hang on to Zeke. Put them out there as trade bait for whoever thinks they're invincible and they're on a 3 or 4 game win streak, and see what you can get. Offer him up for Chris Thompson. Offer him up for Pierre Garçon, that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Try to get whatever your weakness is, whether that's a tight end, so on and so forth. Go get a stud tight end or package him. Because, again, best case scenario, you have to make your fantasy semifinals just to be able to play him again.
And here's what's awesome about this podcast and awesome about this scenario. This is a perfect scenario that you have to know the fantasy market, or you can't put together a good trade package because you don't know what he's worth. Right. And so, and on the opposite end about what to give up, the whole deal. That's why you just throwing out some of those names right there. That is what this podcast is all about, helping people understand the fantasy market.
And if we go back to week 1, which was Armageddon, when David Johnson got hurt, Odell's gotten hurt, all these people, I turned David Johnson into Rob Gronkowski. That worked out amazing for me. Yep. In 2 separate leagues, I traded him straight up for Gronk. And so not everybody's going to accept that trade. I was turned down in 2 other leagues, but you got to go out there and try. The worst thing they'll do is click no. It doesn't cost you anything to make the trade. and just see what happens. And don't try to sneak this by people. So the worst thing that you can do right now is go out and offer Zeke for Le'Veon Bell, thinking that the Le'Veon Bell owner has not seen the news. Do not do that. That is a D-bag move, and you'll lose so much credibility. And if your league has comments, I would put in there, look, Zeke's out 6 weeks, which means he comes back week 15. You're a top 3 team. This could win you the championship if this trade goes well for you. You're not using so-and-so. I'd get somebody on a bye. I would try to maximize as much as I can. Now, there's lots of teams on bye. Chicago, Cleveland, Minnesota, New England, Pittsburgh, Los Angeles, New England. I'm telling you right now, I'm offering Zeke straight up to every single Gronk owner. I'm offering straight up, if I look at Los Angeles, I'm going to package Zeke with another running back and try to get Gordon. I'm going to try to package Zeke and get Jordan Howard. That's what I would do in all of my leagues.
Yep. And that would be a hard thing to get. I think that should be said, that would be difficult, I think, to get that kind of caliber player. But the Chris Thompson pick from earlier, that makes a ton of sense for me. And I think whoever would get Chris Thompson, whoever would be on the end of that deal, would win it. So one more thing that's up with that is that Dez Bryant's stock is up, and he's the only person.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I would keep Dak pretty even kiln. I don't think his stock goes up or down necessarily. He'll have shorter drives, but they're going to have to throw the ball a lot more. But everybody else is gone. Now, I think Alfred Morris is the guy, but whenever I say Alfred Morris is the guy, he's a flex option at best. If you think Alfred Morris is going to step in and do anything that Zeke does, you are crazy, because he's not going to get the workload. It's going to be divided. I think Darren McFadden will get some carries. Their third down guy is going to get some carries, but they're not the same team without Zeke. Zeke is special, but still pick up Alfred Morris in every single league. I'd pick up Darren McFadden in most leagues, but Alfred in every single format, every league.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to trade rumors, because here we are, probably less than 24 hours, for sure less than 24 hours away from the trade deadline.
It's a weird day for John Chapman, guys. And I don't talk in the third person, but I'm not really here right now. I'm going to be really honest with you.
You know, John, before this podcast recorded, I just got to let you guys know he's been living in the wilderness, okay? He's lost. He's having an existential moment. He doesn't know what to do right now. You can't ask him a lot of questions.
So I'm the ultimate, the draft is the greatest, used to be the greatest day of the year. Now the greatest weekend, which is awesome.
Yes.
And the 49ers gave up their second-round draft pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, I wasn't super high on Jimmy in the draft process or since. The Patriots are a system, and we have seen what happens when quarterbacks leave that place. And so I'm just a little – I've got nothing to process this. I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm kind of in fantasy limbo right now.
Yeah, do you hear that tone in his voice?
It's empty. Life is a flat circle.
Yeah. Great True Detective reference. I love it.
Matthew, help me.
So let me just say real quick, Jimmy G to San Francisco, give me the ceiling and the floor for this year.
Okay, for this year, if you're looking for Jimmy Garoppolo to be a fantasy-relevant quarterback, I think you are misguided.
Right.
The weapons in San Francisco are not there. However, every single offensive player that wears the San Francisco 49ers uniform is a gigantic stock up. Okay? Would I pick up Jimmy Garoppolo? Why not? If you got a long shot and your team's garbage or whatever, go ahead. I don't think he's going to finish in the top 16 per week average. But if you got Pierre Garçon, I love Pierre Garçon now. You have an accurate quarterback, and I think that's going to help. I think it's going to help Carlos Hyde. Kittle, the tight end, I think it helps everybody there. So this is great. Now, whenever I say that, I think Pierre Garçon, he was a flex wide receiver too. I think this bumps him up a little bit more into a top-tier wide receiver too. Because he's so consistent and the targets are there. So hold your horses. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1 or anything like that, but he's a guy that's going to be consistent.
Yeah, I like him better too. But I think the one guy you said, George Kittle, really interested to see his performance moving forward. And I just got to say something for the Niners. So my team, the Eagles, just played the Niners. And I got to say, you guys got a lot to look forward to. They gave us trouble. And if not for the inaccuracy of C.J. Beathard and the weather conditions and some kind of rookie mistakes on the defense, man, you subtract that out, and San Fran could win that game. No joke. I mean, they're going to be a competitive
33-10, man. God, I appreciate your kind words. We're down to our fourth offensive tackle, and that's the thing that stinks with Jimmy coming over. He's not going to be protected.
Yeah.
Well, our tackles are up there with the best in the league whenever you talk about Joe Staley and Trent Brown, but they're both possibly out this next week. So that's huge.
In the words of Jimmy Garoppolo's Twitter tonight after the trade, that shit cray.
Yeah, props to him for tweeting that out. That was so great. It made me happy, but, I mean, you got to realize, oh, man, I might get concussion next week. Like, that's a thing now. Hey, there's another big trade. Another big trade happened today as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so we got the big Dwayne Brown traded to the Seahawks, the left tackle for the Houston Texans. This is huge, and they gave up a lot to get him. They gave up Jeremy Lane, a 5th round this year and a 2nd next year. And this is huge because the Seahawks have the absolute worst offensive line in the entire NFL.
Yep.
And this is absolutely gigantic because Russell Wilson might be the #1 quarterback for the rest of the year. I'm going to be real honest with you.
Dude, he looks unbelievable and
they can't run it. They cannot run the ball, and they just have completely said, okay, we can't run the ball. We're throwing the ball 40 times a game, and that's just who we're going to be.
And it's working. Like, it's – and
they got lucky with that win, man. I want to be real honest with you.
I agree, too, and here's what I feel. This is just a feel, okay? I'm not like a super analyst like John Chapman, but I would say that like 30% to 40% of the completions were routes that were run and then run back to the boundary. Just on the move, the route got busted, improvisation. That's what I saw from that game. So I'm not super high on that offense to really win the Super Bowl. I think that they can make a deep playoff run with more protection for Wilson.
So if you just look at his last 2 games, Russell Wilson, and this is against the Giants at New York and Houston, 2 solid defenses, he has passed for almost 800 yards and 7 touchdowns in his last 2 games. That doesn't make sense against those defenses.
Right.
Like, that's solid. It's not like they're just playing nobodies. Like, they're playing legitimate teams and legitimate defenses. Now, I know they lost a lot of guys, but I'm telling you this right now, Russell Wilson has a chance to finish as the #1 quarterback. And his schedule gets a lot easier as time moves forward.
So, quick question here. That matchup, the Seahawks-Texans, it didn't make a lot of sense what happened. So are the offenses that good, or are there some weaknesses to that defense? Because I was surprised to see Seattle's defensive line give up what they did.
If you look at what they have done, what Seattle has done all year, their defense is that good. Those 2 quarterbacks are out of this world.
Yeah.
And I'm a 49ers fan. Like understand that. I hate the Seahawks with every breath that I have. Deshaun Watson is amazing. And, like, I'm telling you this, the top 3 quarterbacks, you could say top 4, and then there's a huge drop-off. Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, and your boy, good old Wentz. Those are the top 4, and that is the tier, right? So, like, we talk about tiers and not solid rankings. I would be happy with any one of those 4. If I'm picking mine, I'm taking Watson first, personally, fantasy-wise. But all 4 of those guys, if you can get any of those, like, go get them. Those guys are above.
And I have Watson and Wentz on one team in the league, and nobody will trade me for either of them. Anyways, okay. Maybe it's because I'm an a-hole.
Yeah, I was going to say nobody likes you, but that's okay. Nobody likes me either.
Yeah, that's what we got in common. So
I think the talking in the third person will help that out, though. Like, if I do that more, I think people will like me more. Charles
agrees. So any other trade rumors that you're aware of? I'll just say one from my end. As silly as this one is.
Go ahead.
would it be cool? Should be cool. Does it make sense that the Eagles and the Jaguars called for Calvin Johnson's retired rights?
And it's in the works right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure Howie Roseman called up the agent of Calvin and said, "Hey, we're interested." And they said, "See what you can do." So,
Jesus.
I mean, if this happened, are you kidding me? The Eagles would have so many new fans because y'all don't have a lot of fans. No Super Bowls. That's kind of a big deal about that. But sorry, I don't want to be mean. Misery loves company.
Not in the wilderness.
Cuts to the bone.
You're also lonely. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't think there's any chance the Jags could get him. I don't think you come back for Blake Bortles. You just look back at the video where Allen Robinson tears his ACL and Blake Bortles walks over and taps him on his injured knee that he just tore. Like, you don't want to play for that guy.
Oh, my God.
But there's a couple other trade rumors out there. T.Y. Hilton is on the trading block, which is crazy to me. I don't understand that. But he's got such a big contract, so the compensation is going to be small. They're just trying to get out of that contract. Carlos Hyde was on the trading block, but I feel like this trade negates that. But, it's what it is. Detroit, I think, would be a great landing spot for Carlos Hyde, but I hope he stays. He's going to be a free agent next year. Martavis Bryant, the dumbass himself. I mean, if you watch the press conference of Mike Tomlin where they asked, because they've gotten calls from other teams that are interested, not trading them. I already talked about this. Not talking about this. Not trading them. Like, it's just not how the Steelers do business. They don't give in to complainers and whiners. So anyway, that's what that is.
Yeah, send them to the Browns and watch them fall in the pit like Mortal Kombat. I mean, that's just all you got to do.
They already Yeah, Sammy Coates went there. And have you heard anything?
Like, oh! Nope. Anyways, finish him. Which he finished himself. So real quick, if you had to start over with the franchise, you can hurt my feelings. Would you take Deshaun Watson or Carson Wentz?
This is non-fantasy. This is football related.
This is just football related, non-fantasy, fan to fan.
Man, okay, it's close. It's close, but gosh, man, they're both so damn good, and so I'm not trying to like put anybody down here. I'm gonna be really honest with you. I'm going Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I felt you going that way.
Yeah, and the reason why is this. We saw how bad that team was with other quarterbacks in the position with the exact same supporting cast. We saw how bad they were. He stepped in and made them a freaking unbelievable team. Carson Wentz is beyond amazing, and I think a better leader and not quite as good as talent. But I'm not saying he's not talented. I just think Deshaun Watson's talent is unreal legs. He's the first player ever in the history of the NFL to throw for over 400 yards and rush for over 50 yards. It's never been done in the same game. And he did it at Seattle.
So here is why I would take Carson Wentz.
All right, let's hear it.
I agree. It is by a shaving. But the biggest difference and the biggest deal in the NFL for a quarterback, we've seen successful quarterbacks have the year, even right out of that freshman year. But the progression from year one to year two is when they come back year two and they're better mentally, you realize, okay, we got a franchise guy now. We didn't just have a guy who gave us one great year. And I don't think Deshaun Watson has the makings of an RG3 at all. This guy is legit.
Yeah, he's not RG3. He's not a gimmick runner. So if you put Deshaun Watson next to RG3 in a race or any athletic competition, the muscle composition is nowhere near those two. Right. He is a quarterback that happens to run. He is not an athlete that's a quarterback. Yep. He's not that great of an athlete.
But he is a damn good quarterback. So, real quick, just want to say one of the updates for our bets. I just want to let you know where I'm at. The Jaguars are in second place, man, and I don't really see them giving up second place.
Guess who's behind them?
Who's that?
Yeah, the Texans are going to pass them. They're going to pass them completely.
And
you have
who's
the
in
Titans
first?
That are there.
Nah, but the Titans ain't performing, and the Jaguars' defense is serious.
Yeah,
dude.
Their defense is very, very good.
And it just got better. They just got Marcel Darius.
Yeah, that made me mad when I saw that trade.
Dude, I mean, this team, defensive line-wise, who's going to run on them right now? Not a lot of people. And Jalen Ramsey is the real deal to shut down corner. So I'm just saying. And Blake Bortles, he's just, he's just going to take a little time.
So you're ahead on that trade. Now, we've also bet Luck over Matt Ryan end-of-year fantasy. Totally. Doesn't look like Luck's going to play this year, so congratulations there.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, that makes me so mad. Mike Williams over Zay Jones. And this is turning out to be a barn burner, folks. So Mike Williams has 1 fantasy point through 2 weeks of play. And Zay Jones has 8 through all weeks of his play, which he had his best game this week. Nothing special. So that one sucks. I still think I'm going to win that trade. I still think I'm going to win it because I think Mike Williams is going to get hurt.
Here's why you're not, okay? Here's why you're not. Because the Bears cut a wide receiver last week. The Bills picked him up, and then he ended up having like the most targets for that team or something ridiculous like that.
If we would have bet targets, I would have won because Zay Jones is still the most targeted receiver in Buffalo on the season. He just doesn't catch his targets.
I mean, what the happened?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Zay Jones led the entire NCAA in catches. He had one of the best catch ratios, percentages in the past decade. But, hopefully he catches his stride. Next bet we got, second string tight ends. I took Hunter Henry versus Dwayne Allen. You took Dwayne Allen. Do you remember that one?
No. I mean, here's the deal. I'm out of it. Over. Yeah, I am, unless Gronk goes down and Dwayne Allen.
The 2 games Gronk was out, Dwayne Allen didn't have a catch.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, man. It's
all right. Okay.
This is the best one I think ever.
Ugh.
The Chiefs go 8-8. You bet that the Chiefs would not go 8-8. How's tonight's game going? I haven't even checked. They're playing right now.
Now, it's 20-13, but Trevor Siemian looks awful. He really does.
Yeah, he's looked bad. So I'm going to win that one. That's happening.
Yeah.
Next bet, Mike Williams double down. He'll play in 6 or more fantasy games. So you're up there. Oh, here we go. What?
How many has he played? 1 or 2?
He's played in 2 games. He only played 5 snaps the first game, but it still counts.
Here we go.
Okay, let's see. Next one we got 3 points. Giants versus Chargers. I lost that one. I did the fantasy poetry slam.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. You bet Alex Smith would score less than Blake Bortles. You lost that one.
Oh, and barely.
Yeah, barely. It was like 2 points.
Woo!
So there we go. And then I lost the bet of the week the Seahawks and Green Bay played when Aaron Rodgers was still healthy, that they would finish in the top 5 fantasy points per game. They did not. They finished 9th. And so I lost that one. I had to do that. That was the red pepper bet. That one hurt.
Oh, people remember that bet, though.
I remember that bet.
Yeah, you're
all right. So what do we got next on the agenda? Those are our bets, and we'll try to figure out a way to get a bet into this podcast. We'll see what happens.
We got it. Up next is the waiver wire. This is what people look for. And listen, if you haven't played the waiver wire, you're in last place. That's what it comes down to.
Oh man, it's huge. There's still so many starters that are out there to get right now, and they're just sitting there waiting to be picked. Like, you see people rostering ridiculous plays. Like, why would you roster? Who did I see on the team last week? Paul Perkins. Why is Paul Perkins on your team? Don't get Paul Perkins.
Don't draft Paul Perkins to begin with. That's my philosophy. But let's take a look at a few people who are still out there in some leagues. Who's the pickup?
So let's start with quarterback. My quarterback pickup of the week is Jared Goff, coming off of a bye week. He's playing against the Giants. He's owned in 26% of leagues, Jared Goff is, and he has just totally balled out. Like, he needs to be owned in all facets of fantasy, and he's played so well. Like, you've got to give it to him. You just have to. And whenever you look in, he's already had his bye. He's playing against the Giants, who do not have a great pass defense. You've got to forget the Giants of the past. Like, you just have to. Jared Goff already having his bye is 3 points. I'm sorry. 5 points behind Phillip Rivers, 5 points behind Drew Brees, and he's had his bye week already. Like, this guy needs to be owned in all leagues.
Gotcha.
Running back, there's 2 guys I'm targeting. Again, Marlon Mack, owned in 29% of the leagues. He played great last week on limited touches. Barely passed 10 touches, but found the end zone. Alex Collins, he is the running back to own for a terrible, terrible, terrible team. But
looks
still,
good.
he's a starting running back. Yeah.
He looks good.
And he's putting up points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you look at these guys and you see what they're putting up, and you've got to realize, okay, yeah, he's not great. He's not a great football player, so on and so forth. But this is a guy that's getting the ball in the NFL. And you've got to get these guys on your roster, especially when they're free.
Can I just make a note real quick about Alex Collins real quick? Alex Collins was a running back at Seattle, and they cut him. I just want to say real quick that sometimes bad position groups in NFL camps can make GMs and coaches make big whiffs
and I'll say this,
on players.
Yeah, and they were a victim of their own circumstance. They had a lot of guys that were very, very close. J.D. McKissick, Chris Kaysen, Eddie Lacy, Thomas Rawls.
Yeah, C.J. Pros.
Yeah. You've got these 6 guys, and none of them are standing out. And they're like, man, somebody's got to go. Now, we know Chris Carson was amazing. That guy, if he would have stayed healthy, he was going to be a force to be reckoned with. But Alex Collins was the number 2 guy there. There's no doubt about that. If you can look like a viable running back for the freaking Ravens, you're solid. Now, the problem is he has fumble issues. Yeah. So that hasn't reared its head yet. But anyway, that's what it is. Now, receiver, there's 3 great options out there. Juju Smith-Schuster, oh my gosh, if you watched that game last night, absolutely phenomenal. He's owned in 29% of leagues. So go try to get him. Robbie Anderson, that guy is just dominating. I think he had the most fantasy yards, 2nd or 3rd last week. Paul Richardson, 2 touchdowns, and he almost had 3. One of the touchdowns got called back. And then my tight end, my sneaky tight end pickup, owned in 0.2% of leagues, and that's Adam Shaheen. If you saw that Zach Miller injury at Chicago, and I don't know if you've been following this, he might lose his leg. They're talking about maybe cutting his freaking leg off from the knee down.
I think it's fine.
Have you seen updates with that?
Yeah, they said his surgery was successful.
That's so sad, man.
Wow, is all I can say.
Go get Shaheen right now. If you watched any of the preseason games, when they put the number 2s in there with Trubisky, he targeted Shaheen twice as much as all other receivers combined. They worked together for the first 5 weeks of the season as the number 2 group, but Zach Miller's just solid. Well, Shaheen's a starter now. And if you're in Dynasty or any of that stuff, he is a must-grab in not all formats, but most formats. Like if you have Hunter Henry and he's on bye this week, go get Shaheen and plug him in with confidence. So, all right, just something to look at.
The only thing I like about him is his last name. He's got an awful last name.
Shaheen. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Maybe it's Shaheen.
Shaheen.
It's not. I'm sorry.
It's a soft J.
It's a soft J. Yogging.
All right. Our next section's called Game of the Week. And our game of the week is the Rams and the Giants. Now, this doesn't mean a whole lot to the Giants. It means, I think it means quite a bit to the Rams because it could be a statement game. But we got some fantasy implication. John Chapman, break us down.
Man, it's unreal. So you have Los Angeles, the Rams, which is weird to say, flying across the country, but it's off a bye week. So you got to throw that kind of out of the equation. It is an early kickoff, but the Giants are giving up a ridiculous amount of points, the 7th most fantasy points to quarterbacks and receivers. So, again, I talked about earlier, go get Jared Goff. He's going to have a 20-point fantasy week. It is there. And on the flip side of that, Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram are must-starts from here on out. Every single week, matchup proof because there's nobody else to get the ball to besides those 2 guys. And now we got Sammy Watkins. Now, I don't think Sammy Watkins is going to have a great game at all because he's got the jackrabbit that is going to shadow him every play of the game. What do you think?
Man, I have crazy respect for that. The Jackrabbit. He is amazing. He does damage against the Eagles every time. But I believe the Rams are coming off a bye.
They are coming off a bye, and they've talked about how they want to get Sammy Watkins the ball more. And the game before the bye, they even lined him up in the slot some, which was great. But I can't see, like, so if we look at what Sammy's done this year, and I have Sammy in several leagues, I thought he was like the biggest steal ever.
Yeah.
But and it came back and bit me. It really, really did. But like he's only broken 5 catches twice.
I mean,
That's it.
I hear you. I think he still has the potential. I know he's kind of he's been dinged up a little bit. I like him this week. I like the Rams to get him in motion. I like also, too, let me just say that they've been running this set that's been giving people problems, and here it is. And I think it's going to give the Giants some problems. It's sort of a Tyreek Hill Chiefs kind of play where Austin comes in motion and Gurley's still there, so it's like the Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill. And I like that they're also getting Sammy to do some different things in this look. So it makes your linebacking core and your safeties really focus in on that backfield and will allow Sammy to do some work. So if the Giants ever go zone and keep him moving across that line and in the slot and the outside, I really think that he can have a ton of production. So I like him for over 4 catches this week.
Dude, I'll take that bet. Like, okay, so you're saying he's going to get 5 or more catches. I'll say
Yes.
he won't. And because you kind of put it out there, I'll let you name your stipulations if you want to.
Yeah.
We do a ridiculous amount of bets, and if you need like some time to sit there and think about it, that's cool. But
No.
you want Sammy, so you're betting Sammy Watkins getting 5 or more catches. You understand that, right?
Yes.
Here's
Against the
what sucks.
Jackrabbit.
I have to start this guy in fantasy in 3 leagues next week. I've already looked at it. And if I do that, I'm going to be rooting against this a-hole and rooting for him. This week's it's just the torture and the misery for fantasy and NFL will continue for John Chapman.
Man, John in the wilderness. Did you guys just hear that defeat?
Yeah, I'm sad. Strong sad.
Oh my God, yeah. So, all right, I kind of have an interesting bet lined up. So
I don't feel good about it already, so please make it embarrassing.
We'll see.
How do I not feel good about a bet I proposed
I don't know.
20 seconds later?
I don't know. But in honor of Halloween, and I'm holding up a pumpkin that me and my son carved terribly. Anyways, yeah, this pumpkin's got no teeth. I think that I think it can involve candy. And I was thinking about, like, man, what's like the candy that you don't want to mess with, really? So here's what you're going to do. You're going to take 10 on YouTube Live, okay? Tweet it out. Take 10 Warheads sour. And actually, I'm going to take up a step.
Hold on. 10 Warhead. These are like the sour or the hot ones?
The sour of the sourest, okay? Just super sour. Okay? And all at one time, you're going to shove it in your mouth. And then.
Like it's not the first time you said that today.
No, exactly. It's not. And I was talking to myself. So you're going to shove it in your mouth. And then, in honor of the World Series, you got to sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
While all 10 are in there?
While all 10 are in there, that's what she said.
Who was she talking to? The Lakers?
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
The Lakers.
All right.
Two of them
so let me just kind of repeat what you said. If Sammy Watkins gets 5 or more catches, I lose the bet. I have to have 10 sour Warheads and sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Yeah.
This is a stupid bet. I hate this bet already. That's all right, man. Let's do this. We'll do this.
So
Punishments. Here's the deal. I'll say this. Punishments make you care so much. I've never cared more about a game than when we made the Alex Smith, Blake Bortles. I don't know why you love Blake Bortles so much. And I am watching this game to the wire because Blake Bortles was outscored by 1.2 fantasy points.
Yeah.
And I'm sweating it, man.
Anyway. It's
and I'll say this too. If you're a part of a league that sucks and people don't fill their rosters and They start players that are injured and all that stuff, and they quit waiver claims. Make a punishment league. It's very, very simple. It's just something tiny. If you're in a money league, make whoever gets last place pay an extra $20 to the winner. That little bitty financial incentive changes the way leagues work, because once you're out of the playoffs, you're still fantasy relevant because, oh man, I can't be last place. I hate the person in first place. I don't want to give another $20. Or do something embarrassing. Chuck and I were a part of a league where we would shoot the loser with a paintball gun.
Awesome.
We dressed him up as a lion and we shot him. I mean, things like that need to happen. And we have given you guys several examples of terrible bet punishment. So enact those things. You probably can't do it now, but for future use, if you are in a league right now where it just sucks because one person doesn't fill out their roster, these are ways that you keep every member in the league completely engaged. And whenever you make this bet and this promise to start the year, everybody thinks they're going to win. Nobody goes into this thinking they're going to lose. And so they will agree to stupid stuff.
Well, let me say a few other things too. It also prohibits, or at least reduces, people teaming up. Okay, collusion. Okay, and dumping their team for their buddy, like all that stuff. Because now you're out for yourself. You're not going to let it happen to you. So that's another really good reason to enforce a punishment rule. It doesn't have to be super severe. Okay.
Yeah, something small. Put a bumper sticker on your car. Let somebody change your Facebook profile if you're old people like us.
Yeah.
It could be whatever. It could be anything.
Take a poetry class or something like that.
Yeah, it could be something small just for you guys, or wearing a sign or a shirt that's ridiculous, dressing up like My Little Pony out in public. There's so many different options. But think about those things because they make it more fun. That's what you remember.
Become a big brother like to a kid and mentor him for just 1 year. And at that year, you have to cut it off no matter what.
Oh my God. That was the worst thing ever, but somewhat helpful. So technically, I think that still goes in the positive.
Yeah, that's your call, man. You decide if that's a good
I can't help you anymore. I'm sorry.
Exactly. It's my fantasy bet. We've had the best year, and you're in
That was the worst thing you've ever said. We got to end this episode quick. I hope nobody listens this far. Please don't listen this far, and please stop listening 10 minutes ago. Please. The wilderness is a dark place.
Oh, we're in the wilderness. All right. We should just run.
All right. Thanks, guys, for listening this week. And always hit us up on Twitter, JL_Chapman, or at host Chuck B. You guys are the best.
Big brother, be a mentor.
For 1 year.
We're 1 year only.
Bye, kid. Peace, guys.
Oh, my God. We're still live.
Oh, yeah, we're still live. Let me finish that. Thanks, guys, for watching on YouTube. You guys get it first. Deuces.